Hey, welcome, sports fans. Excuse me. Welcome for the sports roundtable for today. A little tough start getting going here, but what a weekend it is. What a week it's been. Unbelievable with all the sports developments. Not only the sports developments, but everything going around the country, even the globe when it comes to the COVID-19 Wuhan coronavirus. Just unbelievable. The havoc it's created. Not only the day-to-day lives of pretty much everybody in the country and America or in the world, but also the sports scene. It's unbelievable, unprecedented things that's happened this week of cancellation of sports leagues across not only America but the world. And thankfully, games are still going on in Missouri for the state championships. Able to get those games in here in the last week or two of the season. So we're going to go over all these games that are taking place over in Springfield in the state championships. Games that have taken place throughout this week, actually through Thursday and Friday, and going to be wrapping up today. Class 4 and 5 are in the quarterfinal round today. We'll take a look at those matchups as well as their state championships taking place next week in Springfield. So Michigan's doing their best to get these games in with limited attendance. We'll talk more about that. But quite a bit to get to today as we wind down the winter sports season, starting to make the transition into spring. But certainly some local teams still added here in the basketball state championships for this weekend, and even going into next week potentially for state championships next week. So let's take a look at the games that have taken place over the last few days. Let's go to the boys Class 1 state championship. That took place Friday, and the DORA Falcons victorious in that state championship game over St. Elizabeth, getting that championship victory 59-49. Impressive victory for the DORA Falcons. And not a big surprise there. They were state runners-up last year with an impressive class. The class they've got this year is juniors. They were sophomores last year and made a great run to the state championship. Just fell short in that state championship game last year. So not a big surprise that they run the table this year to the state championship game, and certainly going to be right back in the hunt next year with an impressive senior class. Led by Isaac Haney, Missouri State signee, had 25 points in that state championship game, and DORA coming away with that state championship. And we had their quarterfinal game last weekend with Delta and DORA out at Van Buren High School. We're going to show you highlights of that here in a bit from that Delta and DORA broadcast. And take a look at the Class 1 Girls State Championship. Walnut Grove defeating South Nodaway with Jefferson of Conception Junction. And that was a 52-41 victory for Walnut Grove. I believe Walnut Grove wins their back-to-back state championship. So there you go, Walnut Grove winning the girls Class 1 state title. And moving to Class 4 in the sectionals. This going back to Tuesday night, I believe. Tuesday night, Notre Dame defeated Park Hill Central up at Farmington. And Notre Dame advances on to the boys quarterfinal this afternoon here Saturday, and Notre Dame got that victory 59-36. So an impressive victory for the Notre Dame Bulldogs, coming off their district championship over Cape Central and into the round of 8, the quarterfinals this afternoon. And we'll take a look at their quarterfinal matchup as the Notre Dame Bulldogs have a chance to reach the state Final Four in Class 4. Now in the girls Class 4 sectional, it was Notre Dame over Park Hill Central as well. That was a 49-38 victory for the Notre Dame girls. So the Notre Dame girls also advance to the quarterfinal round. They made it out to the quarterfinal round last year, and that's where they lost in the quarterfinal round up at Jefferson College, and looking to advance to the state Final Four as well here on Saturday. And take a look at some other contests. The boys Class 5 sectional, it was Melville over Jackson. 64-47. So the Jackson Indian season comes to an end. And what a run they had over the last few weeks. Come up with some big conference victories, including the district championship victory over Poplar Bluff. Poplar Bluff, the top seed and host of that Class 5 District 1 tournament. And Jackson went on the road to Poplar Bluff, got a big district championship victory, but just coming up short in that sectional against Melville from Wednesday night. And the girls' Class 5 sectional, Poplar Bluff defeating Coruscant Academy 61-43. So the Poplar Bluff girls still in the hunt for the state Final Four. They're in the quarterfinal round this afternoon, and we'll take a look at their matchups as well. Their matchup this afternoon as well in that girls Class 5 quarterfinal. So Poplar Bluff still continuing their impressive season so far this year. And some other updates, we've got Charleston winning their semifinal game, and they defeated Monroe City. And that was last night. Charleston advancing to the Class 3 state championship game. We're going to preview that Class 3 state championship as they take on Cardinal Ritter in a moment. But Charleston getting an impressive semifinal victory over Monroe City. Now, if you're wanting to watch these games, certainly today, and games from Thursday and Friday, you can go online to MSHSAA.TV, MSHSAA.TV, and watch those games online. It is a pay-per-view basis. I believe it's like $15.50, something like that. You pay with your debit or credit card, create an account, pay with a debit or credit card, and watch those games. You can watch them live and on demand. So if you want to go back and watch Charleston's semifinal game, or Oran, forgot about Oran. Oran lost in their semifinal contest in Class 2. If you want to go back and watch their game, or the DORA semifinal championship games, any games you want to watch that are taking place at the state Final Four in Springfield, you can log on there, MSHSAA.TV, watch on a pay-per-view basis online. They do a great job at carrying those games from Springfield. You watch them live and on demand, and I think that'll be good for next week as well. If you want to watch the games going into next week in the Class 4 and 5 state championships from Springfield, log on to MSHSAA.TV, create an account, and watch all the games there live and on demand on that website. And yeah, I forgot all about Oran. Oran lost their semifinal matchup, and no third place games. They're due to the coronavirus fears. They've actually only limited seating to 150 fans per team. So I don't even think there's any general admission to the games. They're awarding 150 tickets to each school, so only 300 fans in attendance for these championship games or semifinal championship games, and no third place games. They're awarding co-third place champions to the losers of both semifinals. So they're just awarding co-third place finishes to the semifinal losing teams. So no third place games that'll be played, but Oran will come away with co-third place in Class 2 this year. Oran's made a great run, just come up a bit short in that semifinal game from yesterday. And we're going to take a break and have a little preview of these semifinal contests, championship games taking place today, and we'll be back with that coming up.
Cause you to need a little help, Boot Hill Area Independent Living Services can provide the assistance you need. At Bales, we want you to have control of your life and assist you in thriving in an independent lifestyle. The Consumer-Directed Services Program allows you, the consumer, to choose who assists you in conducting your daily activities. Bales serves Stoddard, Dunklin, New Madrid, and Pemiscot counties. Call or visit our office in Kennett to see how we can help you maintain your independence.
Coming soon, the Harry Blackwell family of dealers will launch the future of automotive buying in Southeast Missouri.
And welcome back, and let's take a look at these state championship broadcasts coming up for today. And first, taking a look at the boys Class 2 state finals. It is Skyline versus Hartville, and that'll be this afternoon, Saturday at late afternoon at 5:20. You can watch that online at MSHSAA.TV, MSHSAA.TV. Hartville one of the top-ranked teams in the state. I believe they are number 2. They knocked off the top-ranked team in the state in the sectional round, Greenwood, and Greenwood, the defending Class 2 state champions. Hartville knocked them off, and they're going for the state championship today against Skyline. That'll be later on this afternoon, Saturday at 5:20. And take a look at the Class 3 state championship game in Springfield today. Charleston versus Cardinal Ritter. That'll be coming up this afternoon at 1:50. Saturday at 1:50 from Springfield at the JQH Arena. And you can watch that online as well. That same website, misha.tv, mshsaa.tv. And what a big matchup this will be. I think these are the top 2 teams in the state in Class 3. Sometimes we don't get that matchup. Certainly in high school basketball, the top 2 teams in the state in the championship game. And I think we've got that here this afternoon. Cardinal Ritter got a big victory last night in their semifinal game. Looked very impressive. Knocked off Blair Oaks, the top-ranked team in the state in Class 3. Handled them quite well. They got out to a 15-0 lead early on in that first quarter and pretty much cruised to about a double-digit victory. Blair Oaks picked it up after that first quarter, played them pretty much even at that point, but it was all Cardinal Ritter in that game. Jumped out early on Blair Oaks, and Cardinal Ritter matches up well with Charleston. They look very similar. Got some size. We got Blesson Kimball for Charleston. Got some size for Cardinal Ritter as well. Had a couple dunks last night that were very impressive. Some very good guard play. I think Cardinal Ritter might be a little bit deeper than Charleston. They go into their bench a little bit more. They can play a few more players, but certainly the top end talent for Charleston is going to be right there competitive with Cardinal Ritter. So I think it's going to be a great matchup today in that Class 3 state championship. It's worth logging on and paying that $15 fee on Mission.tv to watch this one Saturday afternoon at 1:50 between Cardinal Ritter and Charleston. 2 big-time programs. Cardinal Ritter out of St. Louis and Charleston, of course, here in the Boot Hill in southeast Missouri. 2 great programs and a great state championship game lined up this afternoon between 2 of the top 3 ranked teams in the state. Cardinal Ritter in the final poll was ranked number 2. Knocking off Blair Oaks, the top-ranked team in the semifinals, and Charleston coming in at number 3. So the second and third-ranked teams in the state. But after looking last night, Blair Oaks struggling with Cardinal Ritter, and Charleston's impressive semifinal victory over Monroe City. I think we got the top 2 teams in the state going at it in this championship game. So look forward to that this afternoon, 1:50. I tell you, it's worth logging on and creating that account, paying that fee. It's not just for this game, but any game over there at Springfield. And Charleston and Cardinal Ritter going at it this afternoon at 1:50. And let's take a look at the highlights. Let's take a look at the highlights from the Delta and DORA broadcast we brought to you last week. And it was all the way to last Saturday, but just to show you highlights from that broadcast. And if we got them here. Not going to be able to bring them up. Sorry about that, but different monitor here, and I can get on the other monitor, but not this one. It's a different monitor, so apologize for that. But let's just go ahead and move on to the Class 4 state tournament. They're in the round of 8 in the quarterfinals. Taking a look at that Class 4 state tournament. They are in action today. Notre Dame takes on Westminster Christian. That's up at Jefferson College in Hillsboro. And that will be a 2:45 start up in Jefferson College in Hillsboro this afternoon. Notre Dame looking to punch its ticket to the state Final Four in Springfield next week, and got an opportunity with Westminster Christian this afternoon. So Notre Dame Bulldogs got a great opportunity, chance to make it to the Final Four with a victory today over Westminster. And again, that's at Jefferson College at Hillsboro this afternoon at 2:45. The other remaining teams in the state tournament there in Class 4, Raytown South and Lafayette St. Joseph. Also Vashon and Kirksville. And Helias Catholic out of Jefferson City versus Webb City. And those are the Class 4 state tournament matchups taking place throughout Saturday in the state of Missouri. And let's take a look at the girls Class 5 state tournament. We've got the local Poplar Bluff Mules still in the mix there, looking to punch its ticket as well to the state Final Four in Springfield next week. And they take on Kirkwood out of St. Louis this afternoon. And also in the other games in the Class 5 state tournament, earlier teams, Blue Springs versus Liberty, Hazelwood Central versus Troy Buchanan, and Rock Bridge versus Republic. And those are the matchups taking place today in the Class 5 Girls State Tournament. And the Poplar Bluff Mules have a chance to make it to the Final Four. We'll see what happens today. But a good opportunity for Poplar Bluff Lady Mules making it to the state Final Four as they take on Kirkwood this afternoon. All right, and we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back with a little bit more before we wrap it up here for today. So we'll be back in just a moment.
After purchasing the dealership from Mr. Sain in 1983, he came by and said, "What are you doing with all those trucks?" I said, "Well, I hope I sell them, Glenn, but if I don't, at least my name's not on that sign." He said, "That's what I was thinking." Or the time I changed the outside color on a truck and forgot to change the inside, I got a brown truck in with blue interior. Best price, best service. Glenn Sain, and God bless our troops.
At Baldwin Ford Lincoln Toyota, every new vehicle and most pre-owned vehicles come with a lifetime warranty at no cost to you. And what does that cover?
It covers the engine.
And it also covers the transmission.
And it covers the rear end. We're talking about a lifetime of protection, unlimited time, unlimited miles, at absolutely no cost to you for the entire time you own the vehicle.
So come see us at Baldwin Ford Lincoln Toyota, home of the lifetime warranty in Poplar Bluff.
And welcome back, and just to wrap up for this week, and what a week it's been. This coronavirus that's made its way around the world from China. You kind of see it coming over the last 3 weeks to a month, originating in China and making its way across Europe, and then certainly on the West Coast, where a lot of Asian travel goes into the West Coast, and now pretty much across the country, certainly affecting day-to-day lives and the general economy. You see the stock market, it's just doing this all the time. It did a lot of down at the last week, it shot back up, and it's just all over the place. But the sports scene is just taking a hit. The NBA has suspended its season for at least 30 days. Commissioner Adam Silver announced that they're suspending the season at least 30 days, so they might just roll right into the playoffs by the time they resume the season. I think we're in the last month of the regular season here in March. Playoffs begin in April. So they might just take the current regular season standings and roll right into the playoffs. That would be ideal, just to try to keep the calendar intact so they don't have to delay into potentially July or even August and push in, because they start training camp in October for the next season. So I'm sure they will try to maintain the calendar so they don't have to push back next season or even have a shortened season next year. The league that's probably benefiting the most is the NFL, which they start their new year, I think March 16th, this Monday, with free agency. Then they'll have the draft in April. Seems like they're probably harmed the least just because they're already in their off season and just free agency going on. The NFL draft next month. Major League Baseball getting certainly hurt with their spring training. Spring training is very important for teams to round out their rosters. Not only that, to assign into the minor leagues for the season, certainly the start of the season. So they're actually delaying their spring training. We'll see if they just end up canceling spring training and going right into the season. And they expect to, that's likely what they'll do, is just go right into their season. And they're expecting at least a 2-week delay into the start of the Major League Baseball season. So you're looking at a mid, possibly even late April start to the baseball season, and we'll see what they do with their calendar going forward. 162 games is hard to fit in that calendar. I wonder if they'll shorten the season and try to stay on course with the calendar, or maybe push back the season and still try to retain the 162 games. I tell you, it's a mess for all the leagues having to trying to keep their calendar together because you don't want to delay the season a month or two and really push into the next season, possibly having to delay the next season because you want a decent off season for the athletes to have a break and certainly need the break going into the next off season. So I tell you, it's unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this. Even going back to World War II, that was kind of a disruption, certainly with the draft and some actually, athletes, certainly baseball athletes, participated in the war, and they actually didn't suspend their season. Major League Baseball didn't suspend their season back in World War II, and that's the only thing that could come close to what we're seeing here. Back in 9/11, they did cancel some games around or after 9/11 for I think about up to a week. But other than that, we've never seen anything like this in sports history, and with all the major leagues suspending or either canceling their seasons, and not to mention March Madness, the NCAA tournament's canceled, just canceled. I mean, it's just unreal. It did make a determination to play the games, play the men's and women's basketball tournaments, the national tournaments in front of no fans, just the teams playing, and of course it'd be televised. But they went away from that. They've gone to canceling the tournaments. It's just unreal. It just doesn't compute. No March Madness games, March Madness tournaments, and really feel for the athletes that have really, it's one thing for the big time programs, the Power 5 conferences, they're pretty much there in the mix every year, but these mid-major programs, certainly like, the SEMO women's team. The SEMO women's team have put together a great season, a great tournament run in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. They won their conference tournament as the 3 seed, had an impressive season. Our local Carrie Shepard from down in South Penobscot, one of the main players, contributors on that team, and she's had quite the career there at SEMO, certainly into this year, and they won the OVC tournament in dramatic fashion. I think their quarterfinal game they were down to, hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer as the buzzer went off to win, to advance on, and had a great semifinal and championship run. And I mean, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity for those girls to play for the play into the national tournament for the women's basketball tournament NCAA, and won't have that opportunity. They'll just come away with their OVC championship, which is well earned, but just being denied that opportunity to play in the national tournament. It's got to be heartbreaking. I know Coach Rika Patterson has spoken to that. She's certainly disappointed, as any coach would be, any player, but certainly, grateful for the opportunity to go and reach their goal of winning the OVC championship, which was their goal this year. So you got to feel for those players, especially the mid-major programs. Players that play 3 and 4, certainly 4 years at the mid-major level. Having that opportunity as a senior to all the work you put in over 4 years, going into a conference championship, and that's what it takes in OVC or certainly a mid-major level, is to win your conference tournament to advance on to the national tournament. And they've done that among many programs in the country, just being denied that opportunity to play in the national tournament. And the NCAA is rewarding another year of eligibility, certainly for the spring sports, because spring sports, those championships have been canceled as well for NCAA. So no College World Series for baseball. That was probably kind of the most jarring decision by the NCAA. The NCAA tournaments you can kind of see happening because it's happening right now. It'll be getting underway this next week. Kind of like what they call the first 4 gets underway, I think, this next Tuesday and Thursday, I believe, or Monday and Tuesday. And but spring is right around the corner, and the championships for spring is played into, I think, June. In June. So they've canceled those as well, the championships. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the actual seasons. I don't know if they're, haven't really heard a whole lot about that, if they'll even participate in the spring with the sports themselves. But NCAA championships for the spring have been canceled as well, so there won't be any College World Series this summer in Omaha. So big And it's funny, you tune into the sports networks on TV, and they're just talking about, they're talking all day about the decisions to cancel, and nothing else to talk about. It's really strange that the sports world has just been interrupted this way, and disappointing, but certainly appropriate. This is this coronavirus. It isn't just, it's serious, but it's certainly very contagious, and that's what we've seen over the last month. It's really spread really quickly across the globe, and that's what everybody's trying to maintain trying to contain is its spread throughout the country. And we're seeing a few cases here in this area, northeast Arkansas, over in Greene County and Springfield. I think they had a couple confirmed cases down in Little Rock, and so hopefully it can be contained here pretty quick and just try to move on to normalcy in our day-to-day lives. But just really, really strange and unprecedented things happening this week, and at least the high school games high school sports are starting to wrap up their seasons on a limited basis. I know a lot of fans being disappointed not being able to attend those championship games, but it's just strange times we live in here, and it's appropriate to try to limit our gatherings, the large gatherings, to avoid the spread of the virus, and hopefully we can get by this. I know there's all kinds of predictions out there. It could certainly possibly go into the late spring, into the summer before we kind of get past, of the spread and try to really diminish the cases at this point. So it could be a couple months before we get past this and start to look to the other side and start to, get things back to normal. But just got to try to move on the best we can, and usually sports is a good way to kind of get away from this stuff. All the bad news, turn on sports and kind of escape from it, but that's not going to be the case. But just fortunate that the high school teams are able to finish up their season and finish their runs for potential state championships, as we're seeing over in Springfield this week and into next week as well. So I was grateful for that opportunity, that those kids have that chance to finish out their careers the right way here in Missouri. So I want to wrap it up for today, and we'll see you next time right here on YHC. And until then, I'm Tyler White. Have yourself a great week. Be safe out there. Wash your hands frequently. Avoid large crowds, and certainly look after the elderly. They're the most at risk during this time, and we'll get through it together. It's just a matter of time and patience and perseverance. We'll get through it. So until next time, take care, everyone.